Hey folks, welcome back to the channel, and I'm doing something a little bit different here today that I have never done before. And I know you're looking and you're saying, wait, isn't that the Combiner Wars Computron gift set again? Okay, I've gone through this, I've gone through my customization, so actually I'm not going to be focusing on those here now today. I'll kind of use them for comparison's sake, but that's not the focus here. No, I'm doing something I've never done. I'm taking a look at my first vintage Generation 1 Transformer figure, or rather set. I'm going to look at my one combiner that I had as a kid. It is, of course, Computron. And I'm going to just briefly talk about some of my thoughts on the Combiner Wars comparisons with the original, but the focus here is going to be on a look back at, you know, one of the things that started my whole love affair with Transformers as a kid that has stuck with me my entire life. This is not a reissue. This is not a set or piece that I've gotten as an adult. This is what I had when I was but a little GotBot. So, in the latest review, we're going to take him out of it, and him, we're going to remove him, though I do have something I want to talk about with the Combiner Wars Scattershot. We're going to remove him and him as well. We're going to take all of that out of it, and we're going to focus on this. The beauty of the original incarnation, the first generation of combiners that ever came out. This is the GotBot true review of G1 Technobots and, of course, Computron. Okay folks, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, Dennis Molt, aka GotBot. I appreciate you giving me some of your time, as always. And I look forward now to looking at these guys. We're going to do them one at a time. So, where is it that we're going to begin? Well, we're going to begin by getting out of, I guess, the picture here of what we don't need. Namely, him right now, and him, and him, and we will even take him out of it for now, and we're going to focus on this guy. So I'm going to bring the camera in closer so that we can do just that and adjust it. And this is the original offering, the original incarnation of Afterburner. And if you're curious, pardon me, here is, you know, his updated recent release. It's a good homage, to be honest with you. I don't really get why they used the green there, but it was a good homage, and it looks really great, even with this grayish white here and the grayish white there. Of course, I added some paint apps. Like I said, I've already talked about that, so I'm not going to go into it. And the focus isn't on this guy. It's on this guy. Now, normally, as you know, I measure all of these figures by paint apps and posability, playability, and transformation. Well, I can't really do that with these guys because they were the benchmark. They're what everything else after was compared to. In terms of paint apps, you know, if we're comparing it to the animation, this guy's a little more orange than what the animation was. He does still roll fantastic. He comes with this blaster over here. Honestly, I feel like the animation was a little more red, but when I think of Afterburner, maybe because this is the only combiner that I had when I was young, I think of this vibrant orange color, and that's exactly why I like the Combiner Wars version best. In terms of, you know, posability, you know, he has arms that can go up and down. that's about it. Transformation, so super easy. You take off the gun on this side, and honestly, all you had to do was flip the guy out, take the bottom of the bike and flip it up, and take the wheel and bring it back. And there you had him in robot mode. As far as this blaster goes, I don't know if it ever actually fit in anywhere here, to be honest with you. I don't really remember using it on him this way, so I'll take it off for now. But this is how he looked. You know, like I said, his arms, they compose. The head doesn't go left or right. You know, I guess his legs can bend that way, if that's any good to you. Did they bend back? Nah, not really. But he was still fun. He was small. He's probably, if you're wondering, like, how big were these original guys? Well, here he is with the Titans Return Rewind. So he was about a Legend size, roughly a little bit smaller even maybe than a Legend size. Actually, they're about the same height. The Legend's Rewind just looks bigger because he has bigger shoulders. But you get the idea. You get the idea. And of course, using a Combiner Wars mold, here's our good friend Alpha Bravo. You know, you can see how they look there. Now, for the comparison that everybody is probably going to want to see here, really quick, I will show him with the Combiner Wars Afterbreaker. And boom, here he is with the Combiner Wars Afterbreaker. I added some orange to the thighs and arms and some silver to the body, but come on, this is beautiful. This is a fantastic homage. It looks great. The Unite Warrior is a little more red, matches the animation a little bit more. This is the one time when I was okay with it matching the toy better, because I actually had these guys. So, taking him out of it again for a second. This guy, of course, becomes an arm for Computron. And fun, I guess, not fun fact, just something to know. As we go through, I have to be honest, I lost a hand and I lost a foot somewhere along the way for Computron. But I would replace them with a different hand and foot. I'll just be interested to see if anybody knows, or who knows, because I won't say anybody, because somebody's definitely going to know, who the alternate hand and foot belong to that still let me at least put Computron together. To make this guy into an arm, super simple. You put the legs down to the side. You put the legs down, or the arms down to the side. You flip his head forward to be the combiner port, and there you go. That's it. That's him as an arm. And there's a hole in the bottom, and you would put his hand with gun in it down there, and there you go. That's him in arm mode. Again, if we were to just really quickly here compare him to the Combiner Wars incarnation of himself in that same mode, you know, here's what these two both look like, you know, in terms of being an arm. It's a beautiful homage again. Pretty fantastic, I think. I think it's pretty amazing what it was that they were able to accomplish here. So I'm going to lay the two of them aside, and we're going to go on with the next one here. And the next one that we will look at is going to be this guy. This is Strafe. Now, admittedly, and I have to be honest here, I don't know where I got this guy. I don't think he was actually bought. I feel like I might have traded other Transformers for him. I'm not sure. When I got this guy though, however it was I got my hands on, he did not have his orange missile pieces. Unfortunate, but doesn't hurt the transformation at all. He, of course, is a little plain, and, you know, if we compare him to his recent Combiner Wars version, you know, here's what they look like together. I think that that's actually pretty great, to be honest with you. I actually really like how this turned out. Even down to the silver on the wings, and the silver up here on the small wings, the silver up here on the small wings. It looks pretty great. I think it was an absolute win. To transform this guy to robot mode, again, it's super simple. You push the wings back behind, you just you turn up the head like this, and you should be able to just extend the body like that. And I guess you can point his arms out. And that is Strafe in his robot mode. Again, he's about legend size. We'll show him naturally with the updated version of himself. And boom, there you go. Move him over and move him over a little bit. Again, I custom painted this guy. He had an orange peg in his chest. Even with this guy, it should have been white. The thighs on the original figure were red. They were white on the Combiner Wars version. Obviously, I painted them. Now, the head was perfect because it had the red visor and the red face, just like the original toy. I painted it to be a little more like the cartoon, which had a blue visor and a silvery face. But still, I mean, it was a pretty fantastic update, at least in my personal opinion. Now, to put this guy into arm mode, and this is when you're going to see one of those alternate hands I was talking about. It's pretty simple to put this guy into arm mode. You put the arms down straight. The head, it won't bend forward any further than that. That's as far as it bends forward. So you know that you have to bend it back. Again, straighten out the arms if they move. And you have him like this. I guess if you wanted to straighten these out and even put them out that way, you could. It really kind of doesn't matter. I'll leave them in, though, for the purposes here. He's still extended, and then you take the fist, and this is my alternate fist. Look at the color of it. But still, it just pegs up there, and you have an arm that looks like this. So I'm going to just lay him down for a second, and I'm going to put the Combiner Wars version into his pretty glorious arm mode, actually. You know, here he is in arm mode compared with the original. Again, it's pretty fantastic. It's a pretty great rendition. Now, I mean, you can always turn around and have these on the back, but still, it's a pretty great rendition, to be perfectly honest with you. And I'm really, really happy with how it turned out. I know some people are really down for the, you know, United Warriors version. Hey, that's cool too. But so far, I'm really happy with this set. So there you go. That's two done. And again, for the time, he was a fun figure. He was great. I always enjoyed him. Let's go on next to perhaps the one that really doesn't succeed. Here is the original Nosecone. Now, there's been a lot of controversy over this guy. His updated version, I get what they did with the Rook mold because the arms being up on top kind of look like his legs up on top here. I understand it, but I feel like the colors are way off from this, and though he had more of an orange hue in the animation, I always kind of dug the brown better, which, honestly, the updated version does a fantastic job of making it. It's almost the exact same brown, to be honest with you. And that's the other thing. The orange is pretty much the exact same orange. The red is pretty much the exact same red. It's pretty fantastic. I don't mind this figure. A lot of people really don't like it. But that's how they compare that way. Taking him out of it. How did this guy transform? I always felt like he had the oddest transformation of them for one weird reason, and I'll get to that in a second. But, again, I don't know where he came from, how I got my hands on him, not a clue. But this is him in his tank mode. To transform him, pretty simple. You take the legs and you fold them all the way down, and he's still so tight. You take these treads and you fold them around like this and around like this. Now, I always thought that was a bit weird because this whole section in here in his shoulder rotates with it. I've always assumed that the silver there is supposed to be his hands. And you flip the drill cone back over his head and boom, there you go. You have him in bot mode. And you'll notice he has an orange face and a yellow head. He has brown thighs. He has, you know, yellow shins and feet. He has silver hands. His chest is still kind of a milky white type of color, but that's what you had in robot mode. And again, about a Legends class. Now, just give me a second because I'm going to, of course, show him off with his updated counterpart from the Combiner War set. And bam, there you go with his updated counterpart. Now, I think that this is really interesting. The legs on this guy, before I painted them orange, were actually kind of a maroony color. They probably should have been brown anyway. His whole chest assembly had a yellow combiner peg, which matches because the combiner peg going down his chest in the original is yellow. That makes sense. His whole head, though it was just a repaint of the Brawl head, it was, you know, an orange face and a yellow head. Obviously, I've repainted it. And the forearms were silver, just like the hands on the original were silver. So, all in all, for what they were working with, they actually did a pretty fantastic job. I did add the silver stuff to the chest to try and, you know, remedy, in my mind anyway, the paint scheme a bit. Definitely the weakest update, the weakest representation. But still, when I look at them side by side, I can certainly see what they were going for, and it makes sense. It makes logical sense to me. If I had the Unite Warriors version here, well, you know, obviously I would gladly show that off too. But I feel like you would look at that and say, those two don't even look like the same character, because the animation and the toy were way off. I can accept the update here because I loved this guy as a kid. I really did. Now, to put this guy in leg mode, again, pretty simple. You're going to leave the nose cone down, you're going to leave the head up. If you want to put him in arm mode, you could. All of these, by the way, can scramble city. I mean, you could go like that and make him an arm and put a fist down here and he could still be an arm. But since he's supposed to be a leg, we'll keep him as a leg. Now, you have a couple of choices. Some people actually leave the legs out and open to give Computron a little extra height. The official transformation has you bend the knees up like that and pretty much put him back in tank mode. Put that down and put that down. And that's pretty much what you get. And we would take a foot, let's see. We'll take a foot. Here. By the way, there's two holes down the bottom of this guy. I'm really not sure why, but I've always found that I had to use the outside hole because otherwise the feet just tend to be too close together, which does kind of put his foot off center, but whatever. I feel like if I do anything else, the legs are too close together. But we'll look at that a bit when we look at combine mode. This is him in combine mode, and naturally, I'm going to have to show him next to his updated version in the same mode. And here's the updated version. You'll notice I don't have the foot put in there yet because I want to talk about that a little bit later. Pardon me again. But again, and of course, this is actually supposed to be facing up on this version, up over the knee. I don't do that. I keep it facing down because I just think it works better facing down. It looks more like this. Oh, and I don't have the combiner peg up, but I guess I can pull that out. Ow! You know, again, in terms of the overall aesthetic and the overall look, I thought that Hasbro captured it really well in the updated version. Anyway, that's Nosecone now, and I dig them. I always dug them. Again, kinda limited in his own way, but still awesome in his own way. Now we're gonna go to my biggest repaint that I did, and another character that I absolutely loved. This guy. It is Lightspeed, and this is what the toy looked like, and it had more color to it than the animation. The animation was pretty much a stark red that just had the windshield going around here into the side windows. This one, of course, had some silver detailing up here. Beautiful Autobot symbol on the side. Of course, these are stickers if I'm not mistaken. The lower part here had white. The silver headlights underneath, you know, it is what it is. And he was great. He rolls like a champ. It just brings back such wonderful memories. Again, he's about legend size, and he has one of the more, we'll call it intricate transformations of this set. Not that any of them are very intricate, but before I get into that, I custom painted the Lightspeed character that came with the updated set to make him look like this. And I really feel like that's pretty good of a match. I could have left this lower piece white to stay with that, but because of the animation making it all red, I did want it to be all red. So that's what I did. I painted it that way. But I feel like this is a much better now representation of this. All it took was some paint apps, folks. That's it. Just some better paint apps. So taking him out of it. How did this guy transform? Well, we're going to put him in robot first. And to do that, you basically just pull his legs out. You take this front piece and you pull it out, but now I'm behind it always, from day one, it always, when I would pull it out, it would pop off. Now luckily this was a piece that could come off and you could just put it back on over. And you flipped it up to make his feet. You took his arms and you flipped them down to the sides and flip them down to the sides. And then you would just take his head here and bring it back. And that was him in robot mode. He was always kind of back heavy, never particularly stood the best because, well, there's a car chunk hanging off the back of him. But this is what he looked like. And he kind of, he kind of looked like the character. He had a square head and silver eyes and silver face. I was always actually pretty impressed with him. Again, I don't know what, if any, weapons he came with because I don't know how I got this guy. The only ones I actually remember getting my hands on are Afterburner and the beautiful Scattershot. So I don't know how I got him, but I'm glad I got him. So we'll show him now with his updated counterpart. And bang, right there, his updated Combiner Wars counterpart. Of course, mine is custom painted. I done some. Ooh, Lightspeed fell over. With Lightspeed, I've done some carving of around his eyes, added the blue paint there to make it a little more animation accurate. I added some silver going down his chest a little bit. Now both of these guys want to fall back. There you go, something else that they have in common. Of course, added a lot of red. An awful lot of red. If he was left with the paint apps that he had, this wouldn't be a great representation of the toy or the animation. With the custom paint apps, it took a little bit of work, but a paint pen, and a little fine paint brush, and I think he looks a world better. So taking him out of it, we're going to put this guy in his limb mode. I will point this out, because again, these guys could scramble city. You could bring the, I guess, rear end of the car back up around and flip up these arms like this. And there's another combiner peg down here. You could take that out and you could, slot it into the side of Scattershot and make this guy into an arm. You could do that, but of course that's not what he's supposed to do. He's supposed to be a leg. So for leg mode, this goes flip back. Now some people leave the arms up. I never did. I always left them down to his side. I don't know if you're supposed to. And again, there's a choice here. Just like with Nosecone, you can leave the legs extended to give Computron a little more height. Mine are a little bit weak, and with the weight on top of them, they tend to push down sometimes. Or you can do what the official transformation indicates and close the legs and turn him around like this. I never dug that. So what I used to do, because I wanted the car on front, is I would just take his feet and flip his feet back, and I would always leave him this way. Now for the other foot piece, this is the makeshift one, folks. I'm saying makeshift, but it's not the one that really belongs with him. See if you know who this one is. Again, notice the color, but that's him as a leg. Naturally, I'm going to show him with his updated version. And boom, and again, I don't have a foot put in there now because I want to talk about that later on, but overall, it's pretty good. You still have the little bit of white down around, it's a lot of red. It is what it is. I think though that worked out actually quite nice. But, you know, what do I know? So, we're going to take him out of it. And we're going to go on to the last one in this particular set. Naturally, I'll point this out just for the sake of doing so. Naturally, the original does not have scrounge or Cybacks, so I haven't really done anything with those because we don't need to here. Last but not least, the beautiful Scattershot. And I'm going to say it now. This was one of my absolute favorite Transformers figures as a kid. He was big, bulky, solid, posable, fantastic. What an excellent representation into the, I guess the original line. And honestly, to this day, I would say that he is a fantastic measuring stick for what everything in G1 should have been. With all those that we've looked at so far, I love them all. But I used to say, too bad they couldn't bend their arms. Or too bad they didn't have knees. We have that now. That's why I love the brand so much now. That's why I'm so excited about what we get now because, and this is why I choose the Generations line over things like Masterpiece. Masterpiece are beautiful, they're works of art. But I like this line because it's accessible to everyone, really. It's accessible to pretty much any budget. And it reminds me of the figures that I should have been able to get as a kid. But anyway, that's my little rant. On with this guy. This is him in his plane mode, which I always thought was cool. I like that the chest piece of Computron can store down here, like a bit of a stand, I guess. His updated version, everybody says how much of a departure it is. You know what? It's actually not much of a departure at all, and I'm going to show why right now. Bringing him in. Here you have both of them. And on the surface, you're probably doing like me and looking and saying, this doesn't look like this. Okay, granted, a couple of things really worth noting. The red continues out here on the nose and it doesn't here. And this guy's body is sideways. This guy's is still flat. He has the chest piece of Computron underneath him. Okay, he has the foot pieces of Computron underneath him. Whatever. And I know that this isn't the best storage for the new feet pieces, but overall, I'm okay with it. I can buy it. I'm fine with it. If you're not, well, you're not. But here's the thing. Everybody has given this guy a hard time. Let's just see. Let's just see if I can. We're going to set him up like this, and we're going to set him up like this. And I'm going to just adjust the camera here. Okay, now, here's why I say he's actually not a bad representation. If you analyze really quickly the paint, the wings are red, the wings are red. There's silver pieces in here that almost look like spaces. We actually have spaces now. There's a grayish combiner port up here, which is the same color as this fin piece right here. The maroon on the body is largely the maroon on the body. We have white pieces that come down here and here. We have white pieces that come down here and right here that kind of look like that white piece. We have the maroon continue out to a bit of red right here, which continues all the way out to the blue of the, I guess, the windshield of the cockpit. Guess what? We have red that starts here and comes out to the blue of the windshield of the cockpit. Really, in terms of the planes themselves, the entire mass of the plane is actually a fantastic representation of the original. The only things that are really off, or the only thing that's really off, is that we have this red continue out here. It probably shouldn't have been that way. But I can dig it because in hand the red is actually really vibrant and brilliant. So I'm going to take him away for now, just for a few seconds. And we're going to look back at this guy. And I'll adjust the camera again there. We're going to look back at this guy. And we're going to do his transformation into his base mode thing first. And then we'll do robot, and then we'll do torso. So taking this piece off. You take the chest piece off. And you basically take the legs at the knee and you bend it down. And you bend it down. And then you press the button on the top. I used to love this gimmick. There's a button up here on top, and when you press it, a huge can comes out. And you basically take the chest piece, you do this, and do this. You basically take the chest piece, you put it up and under, and there you go. You end up with like a cannon embankment type of mode. I've sort of done it with the updated version here. If you put the actual fists up and under the feet, he actually angles up kind of at about the same angle. So there's your fake kind of weapons embankment form. Now we take that chest piece off again, and we close this up, and now we're going to put him into robot mode. You split the nose, and you start to bring it back. And I always split the nose first because it reminded me of which way I had to take the legs. And you flip the legs out around. You have everything now kind of straight here. You take the body and you turn it. And you turn it this way. How do I know I turn it that way? Because again, this piece needs to fold up on the back. And this piece needs to fold down to become the chest. So that kind of guides you. You take the arms on the sides, actually we'll leave them for now. You pull up the head, you rotate the legs all the way down, and you take the arms out from the sides and the arms out from the sides, and you straighten them out and straighten them out. And you fold back the wings, and you have him in robot mode. Again, that's a little... Let's adjust here. You have him in robot mode. He looks glorious. He really does. And I absolutely loved him. He was one of my absolute favorite Transformers as a kid. And for the age he came out, wow, what articulation he had. The head doesn't do anything. But and the waist doesn't do anything. Well, if you bring down the backpack piece, he has a waist swivel. The arms can go around 360. They can even, I guess, go out at the elbow. It's not ideal, but they can go out at the elbow. And the elbow, you know, the original gorilla arms, folks. The original gorilla arms right there, but still, he had that articulation. The legs could go all the way out, all the way up. Could go way back. He had a beautiful, deeper than 90-degree knee bend. No rotation or swivel at the thigh or at the bicep, but still, for the age he came out, his articulation was fantastic. He was solid, he was big, he was fun, and you could actually do a lot with him. You could even take the arm, or I guess that piece for Computron's chest, and you could still fold it down over, and it became like a shield on his arm. I thought that was so cool. This guy was so cool. I loved him. Again, slightly off from the cartoon animation, especially with the head having the blue face instead of just the blue visor. But come on, I love the guy. Obviously, we're going to show him off now with his updated counterpart. And putting his updated counterpart in robot mode actually sort of shocked me when I put him next to this guy. And why did it shock me, you might ask? Because of this. Boom. That original version, that original toy, is a Voyager class. Now I understand why the original combiners are smaller than the modern day ones. Because they were made up of a Voyager body with really legend-sized limbs instead of a Voyager body and deluxe-sized limbs. That's basically the difference that you're talking about. But look at them side by side. This update is pretty fantastic. It has the blue on the sides, just like here. Granted, the center of the waist there that I painted red was already red on the original instead of being like that maroon color. This guy didn't have the whitish kneecaps. Although the Betatron version, the mass retail version, did. This guy, of course, has his kneecaps. I also had to paint over the maroony color up on the highest point of his hips, where the ratchets are. And I had to paint his hands red to match his red hands, basically. By the way, the Betatron mass retail version also had a blue face, just like the original figure, instead of the white face with the blue visor. That is a little more animation accurate for this guy. But still, honestly, looking at them side by side, while everyone has complained about this update, I think they did a fantastic job. I really do think that they did a fantastic job of, you know, making it obvious where they drew their inspiration from. So we're going to take him out of it again for a moment, and we're going to put this guy into his torso mode. And we need to take the chest piece off to do that. So how do we put this guy in that torso mode? Well, you push the head down, you take the arms and you fold them all the way up, and then you angle them in and fold it all the way up, and you angle it in, and then you fold this like this, and you fold this like this. You're basically just bending the legs at a 90-degree angle. You take that chest piece again and you put it, I guess that's not really a chest piece, it's an abdomen piece really. You put that on, and then the pièce de résistance, the head of Computron. Of course, he has the gold eyes and the red face, which even as a kid drove me nuts because I'd watch the cartoon and say he's supposed to have blue eyes and a gold face, but as a child, I wasn't about to try and custom paint anything. But he actually did have a face. Not a face mask, he has a face, and that's something that was off the mark with the updated version. But I'll talk about that in a few minutes. But here we have him in his torso mode, ready to go. I'll show him off now with the updated torso mode. And boom, there you go. And you'll notice that they are still pretty much the same size. The torso of the updated version a little bit bigger, but I really think that's just because these thighs come down more. The actual like center mass of the body is pretty similar. And I'll admit that this update was probably the weakest aspect of the update because he had this quite pink chest. It still should have been red, so I've naturally painted that. But I did like that they put these details up here. And are they? I think that's tampoed on. I don't think that's a sticker. I think that's a tampograph. I'm not sure, but I love that they put that there to homage this little detailing in here. Now the head of this one originally had gold, had a gold visor, and it had a red faceplate. Naturally, I have customized the face of the updated version, and I explained that in a previous video, but this is what we had for updated core. Now, laying that aside, I'm going to put Computron, the G1 Computron, together here, and we'll see how he looks. How did this work? Well, you had a little square over here, a little square slot, and you took the square head, basically, of a combiner piece, and you put it into the slot. All these years later, I'm not gonna lie, mine have gotten a little bit loose over time. We go to the other side and we take the other arm, being Strafe, and we plug him in the same way. This was actually a pretty good way of doing the combine mode, you know, back in the day. Now for the legs, we take Nosecone, and again there's, you know, a square slot here, and it goes over the head. Move that off to the side for now. And we do the same here. And boom, in the end, there in all of his glory is G1 Computron, and of course you saw that his hand blaster fell out. It does go into his hand, no problem. Just for comparison's sake, you know, here he is with a legend. So he's still, you know, he's still pretty big compared to a legend. And truth is, if you really wanted to, you could as I stated before, you could extend this leg, and you could, I'll take this off, and I'll lift that out, and I'll do trying to get this in here is no real easy feat, pardon the pun. Maybe it's easier if I actually change these feet around for the purposes that I want here. I'll take this one off and put that foot in the bottom of it. Put that back up and take this and put it back in. And I mean, you can make them taller that way. It's not perfect, but a lot of people have certainly done it. And you know, here he is with a deluxe. You know, still an imposing size, and just for fun's sake, here he is with Sentinel Prime, and still bigger than that. So you know, for what it is, it's pretty good. His articulation, well, the head couldn't do anything. The arms, they could, once upon a time, actually go all the way around, which was great. There was no real elbow other than in a little bit. This side never had any elbow. That always kind of drove me crazy. Down here, this leg gave you a nice 90-degree knee bend, to be honest with you. This leg, because of the car kibble on back, gave you nothing. Nothing, I say. Nothing. But that's how he looked, and I absolutely loved him as a kid. I thought he was fantastic. I really did. As far as the combiner goes, you know, I've seen combiners come and go. I've seen different methods be used, the follow Cybertron method, the whole power core combiners thing, and blah, blah, blah. And every time I've said, they're not real solid. Maybe they should revisit the sort of method that they used originally, because that worked pretty well. Maybe not use the exact same engineering, but they were easy to put on, they were easy to take off. They used to lock in better than they do now. I mean, this thing's about 30 years old, and I still think that he holds up quite well. As far as a toy goes and whatnot, you know, it's not the best, but for the time that it came out, this guy was easily an 8 or a 9. He was just fun. All of his components were fun. Now I'm going to compare him to his updated version side by side, just so you can see how justified the Combiner Wars version actually is. There you go. There you go. You can see the update there, and you know what? I think it worked out to be a fantastic, fantastic update. This puts me in the mind of this, and that's exactly what I was looking for. You know, it works. It works. Now, I do want to point out one thing with the Combiner Wars one before I go. A lot of people, you know, I've done a lot of paint, I sculpted a face and all that stuff. And a lot of people have complained and said, oh, these molds for the legs are terrible. When you use these and you go back and forth, the leg splits apart. You'll notice my leg isn't splitting apart. You know, I can go out and I can do this. I can come in and I can do this. I can go, you know, out as far as I want with that. I can bring the leg in and straighten up the foot. And guess what? My molds aren't coming apart. You know why? I'm going to tell you why. I guess I can take off his. And I'll lay him aside. And you can do this too, folks. You can do this too. These are actually great pieces, but the ratchets were molded very, very heavy in them. You come down underneath here. You take out these two little screws with a precision screwdriver, and this red piece and this little center piece comes off. Take a piece of sandpaper, sand for a while around the inside. You'll notice it still ratchets. You can hear it. It's just not as tight. And because it's not as tight, it doesn't split the molds apart. It's not a problem with the Brawl mold or with the Streetwise mold. The problem is with heavy ratchets in the hand-foot piece. What can I say, folks? I try to solve problems for you. I thought that this was a fantastic update. I've seen the Unite Warriors version, and that's a fantastic update. They're both great in their own way. I opted for this one because I wanted the hands and feet. I wanted the 2 extra figures for my $1, and I got them. Was he perfect in the package? No. That's why I done a little bit of used a little bit of elbow grease, and I made him improved with some paint apps, and I put the work into these pieces, and you know what? I enjoy them now 10 times more. As a soft ratchet, the foot works great, the legs work great. Anyway, that was just something I wanted to touch on because I hadn't, and I'd done it since the last video, and it makes all the difference in the world. Did I have to do anything like that with this guy? No. You know what? The original combiners had some fantastic ideas. They were an excellent concept. They were an exciting concept when I was a kid. I loved them. And guess what? All these years later, they've been an exciting concept again. And that shows the longevity of a toy, the longevity of influence. And this is still a fantastic figure, folks. Anyway, that's it. That's my first look at a G1 figure, or set of G1 figures. It was a bit different. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and let me know what you thought. And outside of that, I guess the only thing left to say is thanks for watching, and I look forward to the next time that you and I have a visit right here inside the videos.